Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, May 23rd. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith will be here in just a bit. And look who's back. We haven't seen him for, I think, a couple of weeks, but he's been busy. He's been weddings and apartment stuff and just all kinds of stuff going on for our guy. But he's here. David from Raleigh, of course, I think probably our most well-known favorite Carolina Hurricanes fan of the Ice Guys family. Back in the house with us here. David, we got a couple minutes, obviously, before Alex joins us. So before we even look back to last night, Game 2, Vegas, Colorado, and tee up the two games this weekend, you were in the building for Game 1. Just your overall thoughts of the vibe in the place, and obviously, obviously a jarring result for the Carolina Hurricanes in Game 1. We always felt, how's it going to go with a team that's had 12 days off? But I don't think personally, in my opinion, and I said this on the recap, I don't think it was all the layoff. It was just give Montreal credit. They've matched up well with Carolina. They're now 4-0 this year against Carolina, regular season and playoffs combined. And you look at the fact that, Carolina just Montreal, Marty St. Louis just had them ready, and with a game plan. The stretch pass killed them in the first period with all those odd man rushes and breakaways that Montreal created because of that, and just they got off to that big lead. It's just pretty staggering that here's Carolina getting the first goal 30 seconds in, and you think, holy shit, this couldn't have started any worse for Montreal. And then 4 goals later, 10 minutes of game time later, it's 4-1 Montreal. But just tell us what it was like being there.
Yeah, it was just an electric start. It doesn't get any better than that. You're thinking rust. You're thinking it's going to be a pretty slow start. And you're scoring 30 seconds into the game. And I honestly think it was the worst possible start because you just kind of lose focus. You're just ready to breeze after an 8-0 start to the playoffs. You're like, okay, this is great. Just another one, just another easy test. Not saying that it was ready to roll over, but then you're just so confident, and then 20 seconds later it's tied up, and it just kind of feels like the Sales have lost all its wind, and there's just no energy, and then you get a second goal, and it's kind of the panic button at that point. You're like, wow, we look really rusty, giving up just the easiest chances. It's just, you have to give them credit. The Habs really showed up. They made the right plays. They caught our guys out. Some of our defensemen had their worst games of the year. It was a pretty brutal showing. A lot of pinches that were just pretty horrendous all over the ice. Keandre Miller with a few of them, and he wasn't even one of the worst defensemen on the night. Slavin obviously had a really tough night. Some of the giveaways. You never
going behind the net on the Caulfield goal that made it 1-1.
Right.
Like 2 defensemen behind the net, nobody out in front. That's peewee hockey shit.
That wasn't even
not to do that.
That wasn't even one of his worst mistakes. There was one giveaway. It didn't even lead to a goal, but it was you just don't see him do that. Obviously, the ice was pretty rough considering it was 95 degrees out, and it was pretty tough and humid and hot outside. But there were just so many plays that you just don't. They were playing on the same ice, but there were just so many dumb mistakes that you just don't see from our most consistent players. The Canes are known for guys showing up every night and not making these mistakes. Playing smart hockey and being safe with the puck defensively. Then we just completely feed into playing Montreal's game, which is a little bit quicker pace, and by the time we got to settle into our game in the second period, we had a good period, just couldn't find the net, and then by the third, Montreal's they changed their complete game plan, shut down the puck, kill the clock, get 5 guys behind the puck for the entire third period, and we couldn't get anything on net. I think we had one shot on goal in the third period. But we carried the play in the third period, but when Montreal's up by 2 or 3 goals, they don't really have to do anything but get 5 guys behind the puck. So I'm expecting a little bit different of a game tonight, considering I can't say that the Habs are going to get a 3-goal lead that early, 10 minutes into the game. and be able to control this how they want the game to go with the Canes being down by 3. So I'm excited for tonight. After I think it'll be a little more settled in for our guys after knocking the rust off in that first period.
Yeah, you'd like to hope that will be the case for sure. That that was just a product of all that time off, maybe being a little startled, and that's probably part of it too. Let's not kid ourselves. From a pace perspective, from a how quickly the puck zips around standpoint, you can't even put Ottawa and Philadelphia in the same boat as Montreal, and I think that's an adjustment too. Like those are you basically are going from two snails to like a 100-meter dash runner in
Right.
this round with Montreal. And I think maybe there's an adjustment there for Carolina, comparing the Sens and the Flyers to the Habs as far as just pace of play. And that's why when Rod Brindamore was talking in the TNT interview during the game and then post game, he said pace. I've lost count of how many times he said the word pace and how we struggled with it. And I think that's because of just Montreal's a big difference in that category compared to Ottawa and Philadelphia. I'll ask you this about the struggles in the conference finals. I know the fans are making a big deal of it. I know it because I've heard local radio down there in Raleigh the last couple of days. I know they're mentioning it and they're fretting about it and they're panicking about it and they're upset about it. The 1-17 run in the conference finals for the Carolina Hurricanes franchise, the fact that they've lost 10 straight, if you could believe it, home conference finals games. It's hard to believe that the streaks are that bad. 1-17, their last 18 conference finals games, and 10 straight home losses in the conference finals. I know the fans are making a big deal of it, but in your opinion, do the players kind of hear it and sense it? I think they got to try to block it out. You can't think about it because that's going to just throw off your process. But my goodness, I mean, it is a very, very damning stat, both of them.
I think a lot of the issue is, I mean, not to make excuses for it, you show up, but I mean, looking at the two series, there's probably two series that were anything relevant to this in terms of the Eastern Conference Finals, and that was 2023 and 25 against the Panthers, which have really any semblance to what's going on, Alex, to the current team. I mean, I don't know. It's tough because I mean I feel like some of those games against the Panthers were better played than a lot of the results were given, and I think it's gotten to a point where it's not as much like a trend with the Eastern Conference Finals not being able to win, but now it's kind of a pressure on the players. Even though a lot of these guys weren't on these teams that were losing, like in 2009 and in 2019, a lot of these guys weren't on the team, or obviously everybody from 2009. But it's put more of a pressure on them because it's like, oh, I mean, it's a game's a game. Like it's not like they're playing a different sport than in the Eastern Conference Finals than they are in the first two rounds. But I think now that there's such a trend of it, of not being able to show up and perform or getting unfortunate and losing in overtime and things like that, like Bob Roski, I mean, there were a few games against the Panthers that we just absolutely dominated in the Eastern Conference Finals and it got completely goalied. I mean,
well, that's the thing. It's 1-17 run in the conference finals, David. But yeah, it's not like you've been getting killed and blown out in every game. Absolutely not, of course. Yeah.
Right. And a lot of, I mean, Florida was a powerhouse for two of those. So it's tough. You can make excuses all day, but I don't think the trend is as much of a relevant thing as it is putting more pressure on the players by noting the trend and knowing that they haven't shown up in one games in the Eastern Conference Finals over the last since 2009. So yeah, I think it's a tough trend to overcome and it puts a little more pressure on them, but I think they got to show up sometime.
You hope so. That's what you're hoping for. And starting tonight here in Game 2, no question. We got Alex with us now, joining us. And by the way, there's a nice little hockey connection with David and Alex because Alex is a huge Chicago Wolves fan. Thrilled that they're going to the conference finals, of course. Yeah. And they're the farm team of the Carolina Hurricanes. So there you go. And we see Skylar Brindamore's playing for the Chicago Wolves right now, Rod's kid, right now in that series. But they're doing a nice job. They're on to the conference finals. No question about that. Good stuff from David. Of course, his thoughts being in the building, of course, Game 1 for what was a pretty disastrous night for the Hurricanes, but a night they'll be looking to fix here tonight in Game 2. We'll get back to that series in a minute, but first we'll start with last night. And look, I am sick of the narrative that this is all Vegas up 2-0 in this series because Cale Makar's out. I'm done with that BS. Yes, it's a big loss. Yes, are they struggling to still run the power play without him? 100%. Yes, are they struggling to generate goals without him? 100%. And generate quality chances? 100%. But this, we got to put point blame at what I think is still a pretty damn good forward group for the Avs, even without Cale Makar not doing enough and getting shut down and absolutely stymied by the Vegas Golden Knights. They have played an excellent defensive brand of hockey in these first 2 games of the series in Denver to take this 2-0 series lead. No question about it. And, of course, the backbone of it all, Carter Hart, who has been not just good, he's been phenomenal in net for the Vegas Golden Knights in these first 2 games of this series. So, like I said, he's been great. They're looking like geniuses for just, having the stones, having the guts. There's some public fury out there still that the Vegas Golden Knights signed Carter Hart, given his transgressions off the ice, which, like I said, are bad. But I'm willing to give any human being a second chance as long as they don't screw up again. If he keeps his nose clean, Carter Hart, for the rest of his life in the next 20, 30 years, that's what this world's all about, giving someone a second chance if they've proven they've learned from it. And hopefully Carter Hart has. But getting back to him right now as a goaltender, he's as good as it gets right now. He's playing great. There's nothing else to say. He's been absolutely tremendous. And Colorado's having a hard time getting to the inside part of the ice. I think that because they're having a hard time scoring, and they're not just having a hard time scoring in this series, they're having a hard time generating high quality. They really are. I mean, you watch these games, they're not getting these phenomenal, unbelievable chances here against Vegas. And once they got up 1-0, that lead never felt safe. They never felt like they were generating a ton of quality. It felt like they were just kind of hanging on, especially once we got into that third period. It felt like only a matter of time before Vegas was going to tie the game and maybe win it. And voila, that's exactly what happened. Jack Eichel ties it 1-1. By the way, what a beautiful touch pass in the neutral zone by Ivan Barbashev to get that Eichel open. That's what gave Eichel all that time and space. Just a little flick of the puck to Eichel in the neutral zone. And then he had all that time and space, and he wired it past Wedgwood. And then, of course, Barbashev ends up getting the go-ahead goal to make it 2-1. What a night it was for him. And then I think he got the empty net goal, too, for the Vegas Golden Knights to put it away 3-1. And that was when you realized, holy shit, they got problems offensively. They have the extra attacker. They're down 2-1 in their building, trying to avoid a 2-0 series goal. Did they generate anything threatening? Anything at all when they were down 2-1 with the extra attacker, Colorado? No, they didn't. And yeah, Makar being out is a huge loss. But I'm pointing the finger at I was talking like talking up Colorado that they could get goals from all 4 lines. Well, the third and the fourth line have quieted down in this series. Our guy Parker Kelly, we love him, but he hasn't done a whole lot. But it's not even about them. I'm squarely looking at some of the top 6 guys. I'm not going to blame McKinnon too much. I think he could be better and more impactful, but the effort's there. You could see he's getting chances. Landeskog got a goal in game 1. Big Val got a goal in game 1. I'm going to center out 2 guys specifically that I think have done absolutely nothing for Colorado. Marty Necas and Brock Nelson. What have they done? What were they even on the ice last night, these 2 guys? Marty Necas and Brock Nelson. He couldn't find them with a telescope. Brock Nelson has not had a good playoffs. And I know this is very disappointing. And he's your second-line center. I don't care what he's doing face-off-wise, defensively. You need a little production from that spot in your lineup when you're a second-line center. And Brock Nelson's not giving you any of that right now. A product of that, though, is Vegas playing great defensive game. But Nelson and Necas are 2 guys that stand out. They're not doing bupkis offensively, especially in this series for the Colorado Avalanche. But I think this shouldn't take away from the Vegas Golden Knights and what they've done. They have adopted Tortorella's system, defend, block shots. They're blocking a ton of shots the Tortorella way. It's always like this when he's the coach. You got to block shots or you're not going to see the ice as much. Playing excellent, responsible defensively, capitalizing on their chances when they get them, and relying on great goaltending. This is kind of like what we saw with the New York Rangers when Tortorella coached them in the playoffs. They would score just enough, play good defense, block a ton of shots, and rely on Henrik Lundqvist back in the day. When they upset Tampa Bay, same thing when he was with the Jackets. Remember that playoff series in the bubble? He was the coach of that Columbus team that upset Tampa Bay. Defense, goaltending, and opportunistic with their chances. And Vegas has adopted this formula to a T. and they are thriving off it. And now Colorado's searching for answers, down 2-0 as the series shifts to Vegas. And not only are we wondering if Cale Makar is going to be back for Game 3, but there's a good chance on the other side a key player that has been out for them might return. I'm talking about Mark Stone, who's been skating the last few days. So things could get even more hairier, if you will, for the Colorado Avalanche. I don't want to say series over, but certainly their backs are against the wall. Now, Vegas at home's been a little dicey. You know, they haven't been a dominant home team compared to the past. That's the good news if you're Colorado. But you got to step it up offensively somehow. And Jared Bednar's got to lean on some of his depth guys. Because I'm seeing Ross Colton score a goal for them last night. I'm seeing nothing from Natchez, nothing from Nelson, and yet Ross Colton is playing 8 minutes. You shitting me? 8 minutes for this guy when he's shooting the puck a ton. He gets your only goal last night, and you only find room for him during the game for 8 fucking minutes on the ice. That's a disgrace. I'm sorry. Bednar did not coach a good game last night. He didn't. And I know he's got a cup to his name. I get that. But Tortorella's getting the better of him right now in this series. You got to play. That's clearly a guy that's making a difference for you, and yet you only see it fit to play him 8 minutes last night. That's absurd. There's no defending that whatsoever. So I think it's time we start balancing out the ice time a little bit, especially up front. If some of these big guys in the top 6 aren't going to give you fuck all. That's the way I see it. Alex, your thoughts as Vegas takes a 2-0 lead, taking both games in the Mile High City.
It's funny. I've noticed a lot of similarities too in both series, and of course we'll talk about Carolina Montreal a little bit later. But it seems like Vegas has played a more galvanizing style in the sense of where, you know, right off the hop, all of us pretty much said, okay, yeah, this is a good Vegas team, but it's Colorado that they're about to play now. This is a different series. This is a different team, different makeup, team that's been solid all year long. And what it looks like so far in these first 2 games is that Vegas, we have to remember, they're playing their best hockey right now. This wasn't a team that looked – I mean, they looked like a non-playoff team that just happened to qualify for the playoffs in the last couple weeks of the regular season. They're getting their momentum together. For Colorado, it kind of looks like they've lost steam, even though they've been successful in winning games. That LA Kings series, they didn't have to expend much energy. You know, and you end up winning that, and sometimes that's a good thing. Obviously, in the long stretch of things, you don't want to obviously burn yourself out in the first round. But it was such a low event first round that the Wild kind of pressed them. They were able to take advantage of miscues from the Wild, but there hasn't been, like you said, that just sledgehammer kind of a game that we saw from Colorado for blankets of time during the regular season, during this postseason. They've had to work at everything. And if you contain them, if you keep them from playing that fire wagon style of hockey, you have a chance to beat them. And Vegas, like you said, they're doing that. They're playing the Tortorella system. They're getting the goaltending. They're getting the timely goal scoring. They're not panicking when they're giving up a goal. They're not panicking when on the penalty kill. And right now, they just look like a more sound team. And when you take Makar out of the equation, that's huge. Makar is just as much the lifeblood of this Avalanche team as a Nathan McKinnon. You know, it's not always about what he's doing on the ice, X and O. Just his presence alone makes that big of a difference. So when you have number 8 off the ice, same way you have number 29 off the ice for Colorado, things change. And it's not the same team. And so I think Vegas is just taking advantage of the spots that they're getting right now. And I think, you know, Colorado, they've been playing with a lot of pressure on them all year long because of how well they started off, you know, we've seen this time and time again with those President's Trophy winners, and not just the President's Trophy curse, but specifically those teams that just run hot all year long. You wonder, we always talk about it, when's the bottom going to fall out? Because the bottom always falls out for some team at some point. It never fell out in the regular season. It didn't fall out in round 1 and round 2. Maybe it's starting to fall out now.
Maybe it is. And you're right. President's Trophy winner has not won a Stanley Cup in over 20 years now, I believe. Yeah, that's so.
2013 Blackhawks were the last.
Oh, 2013. Okay, that was the one team that did. So it was 13 years ago, the last time it happened. I think it was the one before that was over 20, but it hasn't happened very often. That's for sure. I don't even love and he's the captain, Gabe Landeskog. I don't even love what he said after the game. He said, "I thought we were the better team 5-on-5, and then they just capitalized on a couple of chances." I guess I must have been watching a different game. I thought Vegas controlled the flow. I really do at 5-on-5. I don't think that Colorado was very threatening at 5-on-5. Yeah, the shots, I think maybe they had a little bit of an edge, but I mean, I'm talking about really good looks, quality looks. Like, whoa, that was an unbelievable scoring chance. I didn't see that from Colorado last night in that game. I thought Vegas actually, there were times, Vegas, freaking Marner had a breakaway in the first period, and Wedgwood made 2 tremendous saves. That was more fucking dangerous than anything I saw at Colorado last night. So, like I said, I mean, there's some concerns right now with them. They could try to just talk it up like, everything's fine. We had 5-on-5. I thought, no, you weren't the better team at 5-on-5 last night, Gabe. No, I don't agree with that. And I don't like them talking that way. Supposed to be talking like, hey, they're playing really good. We need to step it up. It's almost like they're okay with the way they've played here in the first 2 games. That's unacceptable. You shouldn't be okay with the way you've played. You've been beaten so far in these first 2 games. David, your thoughts? Vegas up 2-0?
Yeah, it's funny because I came into the series, I got the over 5.5 games because I was thinking, I love the way under Torres that Vegas has played. They're evening up the games, and they can play with anybody. They can slow it down and get guys in front of the puck and do their roles, and everybody can play their roles and get in front and make it a pretty even series and play these games tight and win a few. And now I'm worried about if Colorado can win a couple games to get that over 5.5 games.
Yeah,
it's
no
not
shit.
Where I thought it was
Both of us,
be.
because I have the 6-7 game box, and now I'm wondering, holy shit, can we get to 6 games? I never thought Colorado would be the team I'd worry about for that.
Exactly. I was thinking, Vegas, I think they can win a couple, steal a couple games. I still think it's going to get hopefully a 7, but I don't really know. I mean, without Makar, I mean, you can make excuses all day long. You don't have Makar. I mean, Vegas doesn't have Stone, obviously.
Yeah.
Stone, he hasn't always been in the lineup, but so it's not as given that he's going to be out there. But I mean, you can make excuses all day, but it's not like Vegas has been completely full lineup either. I mean, they just played a great game, and I think it's brutal, especially without Makar, because guys like Burns are getting just absolutely torched, which I saw a lot of the time in Carolina for years, which obviously great career, but when it's getting towards the end and it's getting tough and physical, you got to be at your best. So, yeah, I mean, I had Colorado last night, and I was just full of regret watching that game. I mean, it just felt like Vegas was coming close to that equalizer for the entire game, and it's tough to I mean, Colorado's had a lot of defensive breakdowns, especially without Makar. Burns is looking tough, and they're just looking slow. So, yeah, I struggle to see where Colorado picks it up, especially if, like Landeskog after the game, speaking like he's not worried about how they're playing, like you were saying. And it feels like they came in cocky, and they know how good of a team they are. Hadn't lost any games and come in with a lot of confidence, and now they're just not looking as good as I think they are. So, yeah, I don't know where the rest of the series goes, but I'm at least hoping it goes 6 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all in that boat. We're all hoping, because I never thought we'd be in a spot where, I'm 2-0. I'm worried about Colorado. Like, I thought if anything it would be 2-0 Colorado in this series. But here's the thing, though. It's not over yet, and Vegas has been a little bit more shaky at times on their home ice. This has not been the same T-Mobile Arena where they've dominated like they have in years past. So there is a pathway for Colorado to get back into this series, but it's going to have to start in Game 3. It's going to have to start in game. You know what I'm worried about going into Game 3, because this is the way he's acted throughout the time he's been the head coach this season with Colorado. He's watched Jared Bednar go into Game 3 and decide, I'm going to put Mackenzie Blackwood in net, when goaltending's not your problem here. And yet he still might do that. I have that weird feeling that he still might end up going to Mackenzie Blackwood in Game 3, now that Wedgwood has lost 2 games in a row, even when goaltending is far from the biggest fucking problem you've got right now. But we'll see. But I've just got that weird sense he might go in that direction. We're going to go in the direction of teeing up the two games this weekend. Remember, we don't have a show tomorrow, so we are going to talk about both conference final games taking place this weekend. And, of course, we will start with the game tonight here on Saturday night in Raleigh. David will be there. Lenovo Center, Game 2, Montreal, Carolina. Carolina minus 210, home favorites. 5.5 the total. Montreal leading the series 1-0. It didn't work out with Colorado last night. One of the bets I mentioned in particular didn't, which was the Colorado goal in the first period plus Colorado money line parlay, which I did like. I think it made sense to get that at around even money last night in this game. If Carolina is going to win, it's going to start with their typical Carolina first period type of start, right? You got to come out storming here tonight. And you got to have a strong first period, get the building engaged, because you know the building is going to be loud before the game starts. When the players hit the ice, the anthems, they sound the siren like they do. They'll have somebody ringing that thing. I think it was Dave Doran the other night, the head coach of NC State football. But they're going to have someone obviously ringing that thing, and the crowd's going to be absolutely going bonkers. You've got to keep them loud. And the way you do that is you have a strong first period here to begin this hockey game tonight. Against the Montreal Canadiens. So I would expect certainly, and they did score. Let's not forget, for as horrific as game one was, they did score the first goal 30 seconds in with Seth Jarvis in game one. So you got to think that's that kind of start here potentially tonight for the Montreal Canadiens. One thing that I'm interested in too is you could often in these, especially at FanDuel, they're known for this as far as first period saves for Dobish. I'm already seeing 10 plus minus 120, 11 plus 140 first period saves for Dobish. I'm going to dabble in that because I think it should be, shooting gallery for Carolina early coming off the game one loss. Again, now my worry is Montreal blocked 31 shots, in game one. At the end of the day, you could have shot attempts all you want. You actually have to hit the net and force the goalie to make a save to cash your saves prop. So that's the hope. Somehow, do a shot fake. Do more of that if you're Carolina. Get around the shot blocker and get those pucks through to Jakub Dobish here tonight. We'll see if they can do that. So while I think Carolina will have a good start here tonight in this game, and I'm still going to be on Montreal to get a goal in the first period, though, because it's been 13 of their 15 playoff games. Montreal has scored a first period goal. They've just been remarkable getting on the board early. And again, the price is very reasonable on that, minus 122 for Montreal goal in the first period. That's cashed in 13 of Montreal's 15 playoff games. So I will be on that. And what I am going to do tonight in this game is I am going to attempt what I did last night in the Colorado game with Carolina. And that is that parlay that I mentioned, because I don't want to lay minus 215. Or minus 210, minus 215 with Carolina money line. So what you can do is take Carolina goal in the first period, parlay it with Carolina money line, and right now at FanDuel, that's minus 110. That's pretty damn good. So that's Carolina goal in the first period, parlayed with Carolina money line, minus 110 at FanDuel. I'm going to be on that. I'm going to be on Montreal specifically, goal in the first period, minus 122. I'm going to be on first period over again tonight. I don't think that changes. And keep in mind, too, with Carolina, the first two games of the Philly series for them at home were first period overs, both of them. The first period over cashed in the Philadelphia series, game 1, game 2 at Lenovo. So I like the first period over again. Montreal goal in the first period, and then that Carolina goal in the first period combined with Carolina money line parlay, which is minus 110, which is great because it's basically as long as they get a goal in the first period, Carolina, which I expect, that means now I've got minus 110 instead of minus 210 with Carolina money line in my pocket, as long as they get that first period goal, which I think they have a chance of doing. So those are the main looks here in this game tonight for me. Again, mostly early. I don't know about the full game, though, this time around, the full game over. I think you'll get your offense early. I'm more buying into the offense coming early. Something like, it gets to maybe 2-1 Carolina in the first period, and then all of a sudden it slows down after that. And when Carolina plays with the lead, the game is more likely to slow down, obviously, than speed up. So that's the main approaches for me. A lot of bets early, reevaluate from there. Alex, what do you think here?
Yeah.
Eastern Conference Final, Game 2.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a bit of the same kind of blistering pace from Game 1. I don't think we're going to see the exact same result necessarily, but what I do like is Carolina getting on the board first. Cash with that in the first game. Like I said, we got that goal 30 seconds in. You can get that even money at FanDuel minus $1.05 at MGM. Shop around for that. And I have a player that I like to get the first goal for Carolina. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But then I'm going with the Habs to get the second goal of the game, like we saw in Game 1. I will have a player that'll be designated to score that second goal. And like I said, I'm going with that team total over half minus 122 at FanDuel. I have the first period over 1.5 minus 118, and I have both teams to score plus 195. So I'm attacking that first period early. I think we see pace going both ways. And Carolina, I mean, you have to come out guns blazing. The fact that you had the first goal of the game 30 seconds in while the crowd was still ripping and roaring and still shaking from the anthem in that last game, and then you still turn out the effort of what happened the rest of the 1930 of that first period means that you have to bring just bring more. You have to bring a stronger effort. And we talk about the trend. We joked about the 1-17 before all it's worth, but David, you said it best earlier. The trend is not so much about the trend of what just currently has happened over these last 4 conference finals. It's the mentality of what the trend sets into your head, and these guys hearing that over and over. That's where the trend matters. It doesn't us betting it. We're not betting against Carolina 17 of the last 18 conference finals going back to 2009. It's not a betting trend, but this is a situational trend. It's happened. We can't overlook it at this point anymore because of the fact that how strong Carolina was going into this first round, this round rather, these first 2 rounds dominating, and all of a sudden they looked like the complete opposite of what they've been the last month and a half, 2 months. That's where it starts to play into the role, and then you start adding in what we heard after last night. A team that has lost their first 2 home games in the round before a Stanley Cup final, 20-1, and that one team that ended up winning a series. You go all the way back to World War II, damn near, with the 1945 Detroit Red Wings. Yeah. That's something that that mentally gets in your head. It doesn't it doesn't mean shit to any of these guys.
And that's what Colorado's up against, and Carolina would be up against it too if they lose tonight. Yeah,
exactly. So when you're hearing those things over and over, if you lose tonight, you're gonna now hear 2 different trends that are against you. That's where the problem lies. It's mental. This is a mental game when you get to this point of the postseason, and to have one mental knock against you is already tough enough. You don't want to put yourself in a spot where now you're going to start hearing both of these things ad nauseum on the TNT broadcast until and they're gonna run it. They're gonna run it like hell. Yeah. That's what networks do. So you have to get that
17 in a conference finals, 10 straight home losses. You're gonna hear that quite a bit.
Right, 20-1, yada yada. You're gonna hear that. So you have to shut that down. And if you're Carolina, you have to basically
cut the shit
feel
down.
like you have to feel like you're playing the media at this point. You know what I'm saying? You have the fans at your back with you, and you got the media in Montreal against you, and you just have to play that way in that first period, honestly. So I like Canes to get on the board first, but I do think Montreal is going to punch back because that's what Montreal has done all postseason long. And like I said, everything that I have pregame is all first period related. Everything else I'll be looking at will be live after that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried that Carolina, like if Carolina brings their A game, there's a chance Montreal doesn't score in the first period. But at the end of the day, 13-2 scoring a goal in the first period for Montreal in the playoffs, it's hard to pass it up when you're seeing it minus 122. Minus 122 price for 13-2. Montreal scoring a first period goal in the playoffs. It's hard to pass that up. Before I get David's thoughts, I will say this. Great point that Alex made. Let's rewind and say that Carolina sweeps Ottawa. And then in game 1 against Philadelphia, they have a game as bad as they had against Montreal, and they lose game 1 against Philadelphia. I don't think it's the mental side of it is as big a mental block for them because it's the second round.
Right.
But now they have 2 rounds where they look dominant, against Ottawa and Philly. And because that game one debacle, by far the worst game they've played in the playoffs, happened in the conference finals, specifically around where they have just not gotten over the hump, that's where it plays with you mentally a little bit. And the mind games start, and you battle yourself mentally, just as much as physically. And that's why this game's very important for Carolina, because that fucking narrative, and we're all going to get sick of hearing it, but it's going to get even louder if they don't win tonight. That's all there is to it, because then it's going to be 1-18, and then it's going to be 0-11 at home in the conference finals, and it's going to get louder, that rhetoric. So it's like I said, this is series not over if Carolina loses tonight. Let me preface that by saying that. If they were to lose tonight, they wouldn't be out of this series, because Montreal has not been good at home in the playoffs at the Bell Center. They have not played great hockey there, but you don't want yourself in that spot, obviously.
It's not over if they lose tonight, but they're in deep fucking trouble if they go down 0-2 today.
They are. That's the way I would see it, 100%. 100%. But the one thing that would keep the door ajar for Carolina, should they go down 2-0, is Montreal's home ice performance in the playoffs, which has been less than inspiring, obviously. They have a losing record at home in the playoffs, Montreal. But if Carolina wins tonight, all of a sudden they're in the driver's seat again. Series is tied 1-1. You're going back to the Bell Center, where this team's been they're a losing team at home. Say what you will about the torch and how loud it is at the Bell Center, and the torch being brought out, which is amazing, and nothing better than the sound of the Bell Center when the players hit the ice, but they are not winning there. They have a losing home record in the playoffs, Montreal. So if Carolina gets this thing 1-1 going back to Montreal, they're in the driver's seat again. No question. David, what do you think? Game 2, you'll be there.
Oh, yeah. I'm really excited about tonight. I think I'm a little more excited about this game than I was game 1. I think in the back of my mind, you're a little bit worried about all that time off. You see the players are going golfing every day, and they're doing this and that, every event possible in Raleigh. And I mean, it messes with your focus, even as a fan. I mean, obviously I'm ready to go.
I got to bring this up. Sorry, David,
tough.
before you continue, yeah. I got to bring this up. What do we do in Raleigh? $75 for parking?
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
Come on.
So it's funny because you can just park like a quarter mile away for $3.50. So yeah, $75 for parking. Well, they know people are going to get out there 5 hours, 6 hours early and get your tailgate on them, because every single car out there, the parking lot's huge. I don't know if you've seen how it's laid out, because it's also a football parking lot.
Yeah.
For state football,
right.
But it is completely filled with parking lot, or with tailgating. Just every single spot is tailgating, which is great. So, but I think they realize that Dundon. I mean, you see what he's known for with what he's doing with the Blazers. I don't know if you've seen all that stuff, but he doesn't like spending money. He likes making the extra money where he can. So yeah, I guess he's taking that a little too far with the $75 parking in the. They're in the Storm Brew beers, which used to be $5 2 years ago. They're now $15. So
they must love tailgating there to pay that nonsense for parking. Yeah.
No, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's when you pay it there. It's a little cheaper. It's like $50 if you get it before, but I mean, it's still nothing crazy. But yeah, it's pretty brutal. Now back to the game. Sorry, I was just zoned out, but. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Even as a fan, you take the 11 days off, and I mean, you're just like, it feels like the off season. It feels like it's already over. It feels like it's hard to keep focus when you're watching all the other games, and it's just, I don't know, it's just brutal. So tonight, I'm a little more excited about. I think the crowd's going to be just electric. I mean, you even saw during the game when we were down by 2 or 3, the crowd was still absolutely losing their minds, trying to inject some energy into the players and fix the breakdowns. I think a lot of people wanted to jump on the ice and cover some of these just terrible pinches. It's just hard to watch. And usually the Canes are such a fun team to watch, because they're not going to make those mistakes. They're going to dominate the puck. They're not going to give away what felt like 30 breakaways in the first 2 periods. So yeah, especially in that first period, just giving them every single chance that they wanted. I mean, you have to envision that they're going to be more locked in for this one. I mean, I know it's tough, because now you feel like you had an off season and you lose the first game. You just don't even show up, just breakdown after breakdown. And now you have all the pressure, and you have the pressure of the 1-17 Eastern Conference Finals run. And I mean, it's just a tough spot, but I just think there's going to be so much energy in the crowd tonight. I think that Rod, obviously, they spent the time instead of practicing. I mean, they've done enough practicing over the last couple of weeks that they've spent most of the time in the film room trying to figure out where their mistakes were. And I mean, if there's anybody that's going to chew them out and kick them in the ass and get them up for this game, it's Rod Brind'Amour. And I think more so we're going to see the game that we saw in the second period. In the second period, you saw the Canes what you expected from the start. I mean, it's just dominating the puck, have every single chance. I mean, if you look at, I watched back the second period. I mean, it was just vintage Canes hockey. I mean, that's exactly what you expect coming into the series. Spent what felt like 15 minutes in the Montreal zone, and I mean, you don't get much from it. And when you don't get much from that in the second period, you let Montreal, who eventually took a 3-goal lead in the third, you let them get 5 guys behind the puck, just basically kill the clock for the entire game, because that's all they essentially did. They didn't try to force anything. Montreal just
They didn't cash in with all that zone time in the second period, Carolina.
Right.
That was their problem. Yep.
Exactly. And by the time the clock is starting to tick and the Canes are running out of chances, Montreal is getting 5 guys behind the puck. And that's why the Canes only got 1 shot on goal in the third period, because Montreal is just killing the clock, getting guys behind the puck. And I think it's going to be tougher for Montreal to play that game, because I can't envision a world where Montreal is going to have a 3-goal lead after the first period. And I think that the Canes panic a little bit, and it's just a tough spot to come back from and get guys ready to go, being down 3 goals when you haven't played in 2 weeks. So I think that the Canes are going to have a much better, show up with better energy. I mean, I just struggle to believe we're going to have those defensive breakdowns. Sure, you got to give the Habs a lot of credit. They were fantastic exiting the zone and entering, and just every single thing in transition was absolutely perfect. Catching guys out in pinches. And you have to give them a lot of credit. It's a good matchup against us. Obviously, they beat us 4 times, all 4 times this season. So, I mean, you have to expect that we're going to shut these down after you get a little bit of footage and a little bit of game tape to help prepare for this game. I mean, I struggle to believe that we're just going to get smoked in the transition that we did. I mean, I don't know if you saw the picture of all 4 guys being pinched in the corner. I think that was the first goal of the game. Yeah, their first goal. I mean, you got 4 guys in the corner covering one, and there's just no coverage in the middle of the ice.
Yeah.
And I struggle to see that happening again. It's a lot of it, I think, is just mental lapse, being so long off. You lose focus, and I struggle to see that.
Andre
so
Miller in the neutral zone. We still wonder what the hell he was doing. And I mentioned it was Svechnikov on the Slavkovsky goal that put it away 5-2. Don't do it's not fishing. It's hockey. You know, put your rod away, put the bait away, get that tackle out of here. You know,
exactly.
It's not a fishing expedition. Don't fish with your stick for the puck. Separate man from puck. Take the man. You know, hit him. Knock him the fuck off the puck.
Right.
That's what you do there. You don't fish for it. And that's when he got burned by Slavkovsky there, made to look silly.
Absolutely. I mean, you let them play their game in the first period. You give them. And I mean, I know you're going to say Canes give up the most breakaways in the league. It's because that's the only way that teams can score against us. We dominate the zone so much. We give away breakaways because that's the only way that teams produce anything.
Right.
Yeah, right. Because when you're dominating the game so much, like, other teams aren't getting chances from dominating zone time or anything like that. So obviously you got to be able to speed up Montreal and not give them those chances and chances in transition. The way that they did. I mean, they had whatever they wanted. Just everybody was caught out the entire game. And I mean, especially Slavin. Like, you don't see Slavin having games like that, misplaying pucks. There was one time they did not end up scoring, but in the first period, Slavin, just horrendous giveaway. You just don't see him make. And even guys like him, I just struggle to see making those mistakes in game.
He will not be that bad again. That much I'm confident in. Yeah.
Yeah, he was very brutal. I mean, I think the only defenseman with an okay game was Sean Walker, and he was just still trying to cover. So I think we see similar to what we saw in the second period with Carolina dominating the zone time. There's some player props I actually like to target. Montreal gives up most of their chances and shots on goal to centers and defensemen, a lot more than the league average to those two positions. So I think guys like guys like Aho, he's going to be locked in. Aho wants it more than anybody else on the team. So he's going to show up tonight and show up with energy. So I like guys like him over 2.5 shots on goal. I think it's -115. Some of the other centers, I think same thing with Stahl. I think Stahl shows up. He's going to be pissed off by that because he wants to win a cup in Carolina and then retire. So I think him over 1.5 shots on goal. Stankoven, obviously, he was a little more invisible. I think than in the previous series, but I still like him over 2.5 shots on goal. I think he gets chances. Same, and then some defensemen. I think the Carolina can dominate some zone time. I think guys like Sean Walker over 1.5 shots on goal. I think he had 7 shot attempts in the first game. Only had 1 on net. I wrote it down actually.
He's gone over his shots on goal 3 of the last 5 games, by the way, Sean Walker.
Right. Yeah, he's been very, very. And especially when we're getting zone time, just firing at the net. He loves to do it. Even if it's not a chance, he loves firing at the net, just gets cheap shot on goals, and it works perfectly. I think my favorite prop of this one, though, is Dobesh over 27.5 saves. I think I struggle to see, even in game 1, Carolina played horrendous hockey, and that was
actually a brutal beat if you had Dobish over saves in game 1.
I had it.
Carolina, you thought for sure Carolina's going to come storming down 4-2 in the third. Surely he's going to go over his saves prop, and they generated next to nothing in the third period.
Yeah, and it's funny because the Canes actually had a lot of shot attempts. It's just Montreal was just getting everybody in front of the puck, and everything was going wide or being blocked in front. And the only reason that prop didn't hit is because Montreal was able to play the game that they wanted to play because they had the lead. They got to sit guys behind the puck and then just completely kill the clock, essentially. So there was never really a point where Carolina got to play their game in the third period that you'd expect. So I think he finished with 26 saves in the last game, and so 25 through 2 periods. I was feeling pretty good about that because that was my big prop of the game. But I struggle to see that not hitting again because especially Montreal's willing to play that pace. I think Carolina can dominate the zone for minutes at a time and rack up shot attempts like they did in the first 2 periods, especially the second period. So yeah, I love that Dobesh over 20. I had the price written down, 27.5 saves at -125. That is my favorite prop of the game, and we'll be rolling with that. That Carolina is going to be firing everything at the net. I think we get more back to our typical game and dominate the zone time and shoot everything at the net. And I think he's gonna save most of them, but we'll see what happens with that.
28 saves is what you need because it's over 27.5 for Dobish. Yeah, that is going to be a bet I'll have too. It was a bad beat that kept it from cashing in game 1 because Carolina didn't generate much, and I think too the 5th goal really took the wind out of their sails. You could tell there was a noticeable drop in how much they were pushing after Slavkovsky made it 5-2 the other night. Prop wise for me, I know Alex has some bargain bins later for this game, but I just want to mention some really good value point props here. Newhook, Danault, believe it or not, Danault's actually scored in back-to-back games for Montreal, and he's plus 1,200 to score. Just throwing that out there. But Alex Newhook and Danault are on 2-game point streaks for Montreal. Demidov is a point in 4 of the last 5 games. I'm going to look to the goal prop on him once again here tonight. I think on the Carolina shots on goal props, Jarvis 4 straight games over 2.5 shots. Uri Slavkovsky 3 straight games over 2.5 shots. Jordan Martinook and Jackson Blake have both gone over their shots prop in back-to-back games for Carolina. That is definitely something to keep in mind if you're looking to ride some of the players that have been in good form as far as overshots going into the game tonight. Texier is on a 2-game point streak. I mentioned Newhook and Danault, of course, earlier as well. What I would think, too, is Hall, Stankoven, and Blake, they've still been overall the best line for Carolina in these playoffs. And Jackson Blake led Carolina in expected goals in game 1 for Carolina. So I think that line is still worth a look, whether it's point prop, goal prop, assist prop, Hall, Stankoven, Blake. I still think this could be the spot for them to get on the board here. My bargain bin for Carolina is, a little off the grid, and because I got a bargain bin as usual for each team tonight, one for Montreal, one for Carolina. The Carolina one's a little off the grid, but I just got that. It's more of a gut intuition type of bargain bin selection for me on the Carolina side, given the situation. So we'll get to that later on. All right, as far as Sunday, Western Conference Final, Game 3, Colorado, Vegas. We've got Colorado minus 140, road favorites, 6 the total. Vegas up 2-0. I hate to tell you this because, well, we don't have a show tomorrow, but we will have the Patreon card. A lot of my decisions on this game are not going to be made until tomorrow, honestly, with this game. It's like a check the Patreon page type of thing. What I will say, look, I would like to see Makar back for Colorado. They'd love to see him back, but we don't know if he's going to be back. I have a feeling Mark Stone might return here. He's very close to coming back for Vegas. And it wouldn't shock me, and I think they had it in their minds all along to target maybe the return home for Game 3 of this series to be the game where he gets back in the lineup. But I think when you look at this series and this Game 3 specifically, Colorado did score in the first period, the first goal. You got to think they got to come out strong. So maybe a first goal, first period for Colorado. I think that's probably going to be on the card for me tomorrow. I'm not laying minus 140 with them. I can tell you that, though. No chance. And one thing we have to keep in mind is that Carter Hart, he's on a streak of allowing 2 goals or less in, I think, 6 of his last 7 or 7 of his last 8 playoff games for the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, if you've been cashing in with Colorado team totals under, especially in this series, you're doing well. So they've almost got to show me at this point, especially after, losing with them last night the way I did, that they got to show me they could fix their offense before I'm fully ready to trust them. I will be on them first goal, first period in the game tomorrow. We'll see about now. This is that angle of 2 unders. Game 1, 2 venue change. We go over in Game 3 with the venue change. Could it be that way? And there is a 5.5 out there. DraftKings has over 5.5 minus 135. I might wait for that just a little and wait for that to drop even a little more early in the first period tomorrow night, but maybe at 5.5, I'll jump in on a live over. That long-term angle's been pretty good over the years in the playoffs. When you have Game 1 and 2 staying under, and then the venue shifts for Game 3, a lot of times it'll flip and go over in Game 3, and vice versa. It'll be 2 overs Game 1 and 2, and it'll go under in Game 3 after the venue change. But I think I would need 5.5 at a decent price to get involved with that. I will definitely be on Colorado goal, first period. Yeah, Vegas, they've gone over their team total both games, Benji, in this series. And I'd actually be interested in Vegas team total over if it's freaking Blackwood. Because I have a feeling what Bednar is going to just think, oh, you know what? Our goaltending needs to be better. And after 2 straight Wedgwood losses, put Blackwood in, when that's not the fucking problem. The problem is you're not scoring. The problem is you're not generating enough danger chances and quality chances. But I still have that feeling the door's open that Blackwood starts tomorrow. I'm not saying he will, but I think it's possible. Alex, any early thoughts? Game 3 tomorrow, Colorado, Vegas.
I lean with Vegas money line, and I lean with Vegas first goal, first period. I think coming home off of what was 2 very successful games, and like I said, this is the Colorado team that seems a little bit discombobulated. I think Vegas knows what kind of opportunity they have here to be able to, possibly close this series out over the next 2 games at home. Yep. And I think that they rise to that occasion. Like I said, we've talked about all the different things with Vegas, bringing in Tortorella, bringing in Carter Hart, all the recent news with the fine and, the media availability. Everybody hates Vegas.
Right.
And I'm sure there's nothing that's galvanizing this team more than the fact that not only are we playing well, we're making this run the playoffs, but we're going up against it's Vegas versus everybody. That mentality is certainly fueling them even more, on top of the fact that they're a damn good hockey team playing good hockey at the moment. So, like I said, I'll wait for official confirmation, especially like I said, wouldn't be shocked with the goalie change either. So obviously check Patreon tomorrow. But the way I look at it right now, Vegas at plus $1.20 is a solid price, and plus $1.40 for first goal, first period. Those are 2 things that more than likely will have on my card tomorrow.
Good stuff. Yeah, I would expect Colorado. Well, we like to hope Colorado ramps up shot volume. With their, they essentially cannot lose this game. You can't go down 3-0 because you're not going to beat Vegas 4 straight times. But Big Val Nichushkin's gone over 1.5 shots in 4 straight games. I would say keep betting that. Gabe Landeskog's gone over 2.5 shots in 3 straight games. Close shave Barbashev. Ivan Barbashev's gone over his shots 1.5 in both games in this series. Dorofeyev stayed under in game 2. I say go back to it. Over 2.5 shots for Dorofeyev at home in game 3. He's still gone over his shots prop in 4 of the last 5 games here in this series. So I think Dorofeyev, those are all good shots on goal candidates. Dorofeyev's on a 6-game point streak, by the way. Rasmus Anderson for Vegas is on a 4-game point streak. Ross Colton, 2-game point streak for the Avalanche. Scored their only goal, of course, in game 2. I think Ross Colton, 2 props, he's been great. And yet somehow Bednar says he's only worth 8 minutes of ice time, which, like I said, I thought that was crazy. Barbashev, of course, like I said, his point prop's pretty reasonable. Kadri's actually been one of the Avalanche players I wouldn't blame for where they're at right now. I think the effort's been there for him. He did get a point in game 2, and he's gotten a point in 3 of the last 5 games. So those are some of the props I'd look at. And by the way, even though Colorado's lost game 1 and game 2, Carter Hart still went over his saves prop in both games. So, and you would think down 2-0, there's in the series, Colorado's got to try to unload as many shots and ramp up that shot volume as much as possible. So Carter Hart over 27.5 saves. Again, he's gone over his saves prop in 4 straight games. It's probably something to consider here Sunday night for game 3. David, any early thoughts for you for Sunday game 3 in the West?
Yeah, it just kind of feels like Vegas is playing with house money at this point. I mean, you kind of got the underdog, like it's us against the world kind of mindset coming in, and I feel like all the pressure is on Colorado. You win the President's Trophy, you have the best team, you're winning these first 2 series with absolute ease, and then you see Cale Makar going out, and now it kind of feels like there's like an awkward little. The blame game. I mean, they're saying he'll be ready to go, and like if he's ready to go, and it's his choice. That kind of feels like there's maybe a little bit of a weird energy in the Colorado locker room right now in terms of like a blame game. And I mean, you can just see it on the ice and on the bench. They're not playing quite as gritty as Vegas is. Vegas seems like they're more of a like locked in as a team, and I just feel like Colorado's not playing as confident hockey as we've seen in the past. I mean, Vegas, I feel like Colorado is playing Vegas game. I mean, we've like we were saying, I was saying it a lot pre-series. Vegas can slow the game down, especially with Torch coming in, and then they're all bought in and they're playing gritty hockey. They can get behind and slow it down, and not like Colorado play with the speed that we've seen in the past. Like you see guys like Natchez, and even in Carolina, you'd see him really just not show up in the playoffs, struggle big time for us. And I think the answer is that there's not enough ice. There's not as much ice. He thrives on having lots of ice to skate because he's such a great skater. When it comes down to a tougher game that's played more tight, and you got Vegas with a bunch of guys behind the puck and playing more physical of the game, he doesn't show up, and it's the same thing kind of again. And I just worried about Colorado's play style coming up against Vegas and not being able to play with the free flowing style that they want to play. It's just not as quick, and I feel like Vegas is playing with house money now. I mean, I'd like to think that Colorado is going to come back because I think they do, and I honestly think they're the better team. But it's tough, and it feels like Vegas is playing with house money. I think it ends up being a closer series, and I still think it's going 7 or so. But I mean, yeah, man, Vegas is just in a great spot, and now they get to go home, and Colorado, just all the pressure in the world. You're looking at Makar. Is he going to play? Is he not? And it's just a lot of pressure and just an awkward spot for them to be in.
With the LeBron profile on Twitter, yeah, we do stream on YouTube every day. Ice Guys, just search the Ice Guys on YouTube. We don't do it on Twitch, but we are on YouTube. The Ice Guys. Yeah, you search the Ice Guys on YouTube, you will find us there. Obviously, he's watching us via Twitter right now. But yeah, we are on YouTube. Yep, good stuff. Great stuff. Yeah, as far as I already mentioned the props, so I don't need to mention them again. But like I said, check the Patreon page tomorrow. Even though we have no show tomorrow, I'll have my Vegas, Colorado sides, totals, player props posted on the Patreon card. So will Alex tomorrow. So make sure you check that out. All right, let's go around the horn, Alex and David, with the goaltending decision. Noah Bednar. Do you think he sticks with Wedgwood after 2 losses in a row, or does he go to Mackenzie Blackwood? I want him to stick with Wedgwood. What I want is him to stick with Wedgwood. What I think is going to happen is that he's going to go to Blackwood. What do you think, Alex?
I think he's going to go to Blackwood. I think that's going to be a bad move, and more than likely, Blackwood signing would lead to me, like I said, being on Vegas money line in that first period. So.
I'll tell you this, from a money line standpoint for this game, the value is Vegas for sure. Like, there's nothing that you've seen so far that tells me Colorado really minus 140 on the road in Vegas with what we've seen so far in this series. But Free Thinker's got the right idea. Here's what I like about what Free Thinker posted here. Avs plus 225 to win the series. If you really love Colorado to win game 3, you should be betting that. Yes, absolutely. You should be betting.
I completely agree. And like you were saying, the goaltending, I mean, I think they hit panic button, especially with, you're looking at, you need a change. And I think they're looking at Makar, and it's like, is Makar coming back? I think they just do it to try to do a total reset. I don't know if it's the wise decision, but I think they go total reset.
Yeah, I don't think Makar's back either. Habs Chat 101. Makar dealing with a shoulder. I think it's something bad. And I think it
kind of looked like collarbone. I don't know if they already said it was shoulder, but if you saw the way he was holding his arm after that injury, it kind of looked like a collarbone injury.
There's no doubt. I have my doubts we'll see him again in this series. But I don't have doubts that I'm looking forward to great hockey this weekend. Shout out to everyone in the chat with the 2 games this weekend. Looking forward to them. Hit the like button. Check out wizardsportspicks.com. Of course, NHL, NBA playoffs rolling along. We got the CFL starting in 2 weeks. One of my specialties, bread and butter, sports. So make sure you get on board. We got tons of great YouTube content on the Wizard Sports Picks YouTube channel as well. So get on board at wizardsportspicks.com. And, of course, patreon.com/iceguys, $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every Stanley Cup playoff game day. And of course, live betcast coming up this week for one of the 2. It'll be either Tuesday or Thursday for the Western Conference Final, Vegas and Colorado. I'm starting to think we might have to make that Tuesday just to make sure we get a game, because I don't know this. We'll see after tonight. I'm waiting for this game to go, or Sunday night, to make that decision. Because if Colorado wins, I'd prefer we do Thursday game 5. But if Vegas wins tomorrow, we've got to do it Tuesday for game 4, because that series might end. So, I mean, that's where we're at as far as deciding what night for the betcast on Patreon this week. But make sure you get on board. Again, your membership goes a long way to supporting the show, keeping it going long terms. So get on board, $10 per month. We got the off-season content too. We're going to have the bets and other sports posted on the Patreon page throughout the summer during the off-season. So check it out, patreon.com/iceguys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Memorial Day is always kind of the weekend that makes me feel like it's the beginning of summer. The weather starts getting nice and warm. It's a great time to take advantage of some of the summer items that we have. We have polo shirts, we have tank tops, we've got t-shirts, we've got caps, and of course, we've got all of our other regular merch as well. So definitely check out the Ice Guys store. Grab you something for the summertime right now. That's over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yeah, that was a bizarre quote. I don't want to say he's throwing shade for sure at Cale Makar, Jared Bednar with that, Benji, but it's going to be Cale's decision on if he's coming back. He's doing all the work. I don't make that decision for him. It's almost like the coach is sounds like he's kind of pleading with Cale Makar to play.
It could just be that they're trying to cover it. It could just be that they're trying to cover it and not say, the way that he came off is pretty rough, but it could just be trying to say like, it's up to him. So they're not like necessarily hounding for an answer. It kind of seems like a little bit of a cover.
Yeah, that's a great point. Very well could be. But like I said, Colorado's got to figure something out, and they got to figure out how to get a W tomorrow night, because if they don't, might be curtains for them. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Before it's curtains for us, we've got bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, bargain bin special of the night here. And you know what? I've decided, because look, the props are not all sites have the props rolled out already for game 3 for the Western Conference Finals. So both of my bargain bin specials are going to be from the Saturday game, Montreal and Carolina on the show. But I will have on Patreon tomorrow a bargain bin special for both Vegas and Colorado for the game tomorrow night. But that'll be posted on Patreon tomorrow. So another reason to be a Patreon member if you aren't already. A bargain bin special of the night. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special of the night.
So I mentioned earlier that I like Carolina to score first goal of the first period, but I also like Montreal to get on the board within the first period. So we're going to have a little fun. We're going to go with a goal scorer from each team, and we're going to go with the goal scorer that's hopefully cashing within that first period. Start off with Jackson Blake, first goal of the game, plus 1,700. That was available at FanDuel for Carolina. He's been one of those guys that have chipped in early throughout the year. So at 17-1, that's a good spot to start Jackson Blake. And then for that second goal of the game, I'm going with Nick Suzuki of the Habs, plus 1,600 available also at FanDuel at that spot. So Jackson Blake to get the first goal of the game for Carolina at 1,700, and Nick Suzuki to get the second goal of the game for Montreal at plus 1,600. Those are my two bargain specials tonight.
Wow, very interesting. Jackson Blake, first goal, plus 1,700, and Nick Suzuki, the second goal of the game at plus 1,600. Very, very unique, creative approach here for Alex with bargain bin special of the night. David, anything for you in the bargain bin?
Yeah, I gotta say, I like that shout. I think Jackson Blake was one of our more notable players in the first game. Not that there were many, but I got two on the same game, and they're both with my Canes. I want to target Sebastian Aho. The Canadiens give up most of their production to opposing centers. Aho only played 16. The first line didn't play very much in that first game, especially not really having any power play time. I think we only had one real power play, and it was still mostly the second. And it was when the game was pretty much over, I think, with only 8 minutes left. So I think the top line gets it going. I think there's a lot of pressure on them to show up, and there's nobody who shows up more and wants it more than Sebastian Aho. I'm going with him to have 2 points at plus 300, right on the plus 300 line. I think the first line shows up. I think there's a little more energy. I think we see the production. He was very noticeable, and that first line was very noticeable, producing that first goal with Jarvis scoring and over 1 expected goals, which comes from pretty much no power play time and not really playing much in the last period. Aho only played 16 minutes in the first game. I think we're going to see more like 22, 23 tonight. So Aho over 1.5 points at plus 300. And my other one I'm going with is Jordan Staal, anytime goal scorer, plus 450. I think, like I was saying, Montreal gives up a lot of production to opposing centers, and you need a leader like Jordan Staal to show up. So I think he's going to score. I think that line's going to play a little better. I think that he's going to show up, and I think he scores tonight.
All right, good stuff. There you go. I like it. Bargain bin specials. Good choices there for David involving his Carolina Hurricanes. He'll be in the building. My bargain bin special, same process as always. One player from each team. We're going to start with Montreal. I'm going back to Ivan Demidov again. I am. It's just he's been great. He scored, of course, in game 1, plus 340. The price is still great. He is a streaky scorer. And I'm going to go back to the well with Ivan Demidov here for Montreal, plus 340 to find the back of the net. And for Carolina, I said it's a little off the grid because you wouldn't expect this guy to come to mind initially. And I did want to use Jackson Blake again, but the price isn't good enough. It's not quite plus 300. So we ended up going with, and believe it or not, I think he was 3rd or 4th on the Carolina Hurricanes in expected goals in game 1. He's one of the veterans of the team. He's the captain of the team. I think Jordan Staal gets on the board tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes. I just got that feeling. He's the captain. He's the guy that's got to go out there and set the example after a game like that in game 1. Like I said, he was top 3 or 4 on the team in expected goals in game 1. So I will go with the captain of the Carolina Hurricanes, Jordan Staal, plus 450 to find the back of the net tonight for them. So there we go. Ivan Demidov, plus 340, and Jordan Staal, plus 450. Yeah, I'm going to be on Eric Robinson, Po Buddy's Nerfic. That will be a goal prop for me. Robert was onto this. He mentioned it last game. Eric Robinson had a bunch of chances against Philadelphia. The puck just didn't go in for him. Sure enough, he gets the second goal for Carolina game 1 the other night against Montreal. So I like the price. Eric Robinson is worth a bet, I think, as well, as far as a goal prop for game 2 tonight. But for bargain bin for me, Demidov and Stahl. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Yeah, give me that first period over with this game tonight, minus 118. Best price I'm seeing available over at FanDuel. Obviously, like I said, we've got a lot of things stacked up. Hoping for 2 goals, 1 from each side in that first period. So first period over, 1.5, minus 118 is my best bet tonight.
There you go. First period over, Montreal, Carolina. David, best bet.
Yeah, I spoke about it earlier. I think there's a clear best bet in this game in terms of sides and props. I can't quite lay the minus 210 with the Canes, especially getting a steeper line now after seeing what Montreal showed the first game. So I'm going Jakub Dobiš over 27.5 saves at minus 125. Yeah, I think the Canes are going to come out firing. I think that the game's going to look a lot more like the second period of game 1. I think the Canes are going to dominate the zone and fire pucks all game long. I think that's how it's going to go. And I think this is a better approach to a Canes dominated game than laying the minus 210. I think taking the saves prop and assuming that the Canes are going to dominate the puck and get a lot of shots on net. I love the over 27.5 saves for Jakub Dobiš.
There we go. That's a good one. That'll be on my prop card. Jakub Dobiš over 27.5 saves for Montreal for David with his best bet. And my best bet, it's basically the same as Alex. I like that first period over quite a bit. We got multiple ways to get this. I don't think it's going to be 2-0. We got multiple ways to get the first period over. The one thing I don't think it'll be is 2-0 Montreal to get us there. I'd be shocked if it's that. It's probably either going to be 1-1, 2-0 Carolina, 2-1 after the first period, something like that for Carolina. I think Carolina leads or the game is tied in the first period, something like that. But I do think we get over 1.5 first period. Again, it cashed in game 1. And by the way, I'll throw this out there. Montreal's on an 8-game first period over streak in the Stanley Cup playoffs. All 7 games of Montreal-Buffalo went over in the first period. Game 1 of this series went over in the first period. So it's an 8-0 first period over streak for the Montreal Canadiens here in the playoffs. Both of Carolina's home games, 1 and 2 against Philadelphia, went over in the first period as well. So yeah, over 1.5 first period. Montreal, Carolina, minus 110. Clear best bet for me here for tonight in game 3 with Montreal, Carolina in the Eastern Conference Final. And yes, John Massey, about Martinook, his anytime goal, that's on my card too, because he had over 1.5 shots back-to-back games. So clearly he's getting shots, he's getting looks. I think he might be worth a sprinkle there, Martinook, tonight for Carolina as well. Great. Go ahead,
One
David.
thing, Ian, I don't know. Yeah. It's just funny. It came across my timeline. Svechnikov was asked on the second period of game 1, and he said, "We were dominating them, and that's what we're going to do tonight." So I thought that was a funny quote to read, and I think the game's going to go a lot like that second period domination.
We'll see. Like I said, they keep that crowd. That crowd's going to be jumping early before that puck drops. Keep them engaged. Come out with that strong start you need. We'll see if Carolina can deliver it. Great stuff. Hit the like button on the way out. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and for David, who's going to be there tonight at Lenovo Center, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great weekend. Remember, no show tomorrow, so have a great weekend. Enjoy the games, and good luck. And we will be back with you on Memorial Day, Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.